Hello and welcome to episode 110 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet and my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko and today is September 6th, 2021. Today I'm wearing my clapotis, which is a knitting pattern that's fairly old. The shawl's also fairly old, and I think this is the first pattern that I noticed on the internet that I felt everybody was knitting. It was such a big favorite with everybody, and it was one of the first patterns that I noticed that used those drop stitches. So you actually drop stitches while you knit this shawl, and you start in one corner and then you increase, but these stitches are marked. They are only dropped once you've increased on both sides, you keep increasing on one side and you start decreasing on the other side. And whenever you come across one of these stitches, you drop it down. So you don't actually know what the whole width of your shawl is going to be until you've dropped all the stitches. So I used Noro Tayo yarn, which is a beautiful, soft yarn. I love the colors. And I think I had 3 of those balls. And if I had known how long the shawl was going to be, I probably would have made it a bit wider. But because I was worried it wouldn't get long enough, I stopped increasing, and now I'm a bit sad. It's more a scarf than a shawl, but I still love it. The colors are fantastic. It feels fantastic. And if the yarn wasn't so expensive, I probably would have bought it again and knit it again. But I decided not to do that. But it's my good mood shawl. So I feel every time I look at it, every time I wear it, I'm just in a good mood because of the fantastic colors and the beautiful yarn, and also the interesting pattern. I really like it. And I think it goes nicely with this top. And every time I wear something on the podcast, I always check when I wore it last on the podcast, and sometimes I check when I made it. And with this top, the funny thing is I wore it on the podcast almost exactly a year ago, and I knit it almost exactly 2 years ago. So I finished it in September 2 years ago. I think I started in August, and it was the second time I knit the pattern. I bought the exact same yarn in a different color. At the same time I bought this yarn, and then I first knit the other top, and because I liked it, I thought I could knit the same pattern with this yarn, but never got around to doing it until my sister said she really liked the other top. And I said, well, I'll give it to you, and that gives me the motivation to finally knit the other one. And then sometimes we both wear our tops, and so we're in partner look. I really like that. Yeah, so that's what I'm wearing. Then on to finished objects. I have one this week. Oh, by the way, I have one finished object, but I have 3 new cast-ons. So I'm going all crazy again with my cast-ons, but that's the way it goes. But my finished object for this week is the Never Not Gnoming gnome. And it's all done. And I love it. It's the biggest gnome I've knit so far. And especially with this gnome, I keep forgetting that after you've knit all the cables in the hat and you knit all the cables in the body, the beard and the arms are really so quick. And so I'm always surprised at how quick the finishing touches are with this gnome. And I'm just so happy with him. I put a stone in the bottom again so that it gets a bit of weight on the bottom and it sits nicely. And so he will join the gang of the gnomes up there and the gnomes over there. At some point I'll make a big family picture again and post it on Ravelry. I can put it on Ravelry, but I can also post it on Instagram. Yeah, so, finished object of the week. But I was talking about the new gnome that's on the way. So there's a new mystery gnome coming along from Sarah Shearer from Imagine Landscapes. And I wasn't quite sure last week when the knit along is going to start. And it starts on September 21st. So you still have a bit of time to get the pattern, to get your yarn ready. And I wanted to show you the yarn that I picked. and it might be a bit crazy. I tend to go crazy with gnome colors. But these are 3 of the mini skeins that I had in my advent calendar last year. And the only thing I've knit from that advent calendar so far is the gnome up there, the middle one. That one, that's also yarn from the advent calendar. The hat and body colors are. The beard, I think, was some other yarn. But these 3 colors are all from last year's advent calendar. And I am thinking of using the white for the beard and things, and those 2 colors for the body and the hat. Sarah says that the color 1 should be light and not too speckled. So this is the lighter color, I think. I know it's quite speckled, but I hope it's okay. This is going to be color 2, which can be whatever, and color 1 and 2 should go together nicely, and I think the yellow and the green look good together. So that's the plan, to have these as 1 and 2, and then the white one is color 3. And the reason I'm showing you now is partly because I finished this guy, but also because I'll be on holiday when the knit along starts. So this is going to be the last regular episode for 3 weeks. If I manage to film a special on Wednesday, there'll be another video next Monday, but there will definitely be no video in 2 weeks' time. And then in 3 weeks' time, I can show you all the things I knit and crochet during my holiday. And I will be able to show you the cast on of the new mystery gnome knit along by Sarah Shearer. So Wolldackel colors for the new mystery gnome. That's that. Then on to works in progress. As usual, I'll show you my socks. I did not knit on the Madeline socks from the Sockmadness. Didn't get around to doing that. I put in some work on all the other socks. And my 3 other pairs of socks that I'm working on all have 1 finished sock and 1 sock in work. So this is the birthday socks for my husband. I added a few more rounds to the leg. Not a lot, but I did a bit of work. Then the pink socks that I'm knitting, I finished the first sock and only just started the second one. And then the spiral sock, I also finished the first one. It was almost done last week. Put it on the sock blocker again. But this is the second one. I already knit about half, I think, of the tube. And as you can see, it's just a tube. It won't get a heel or anything because of the spiraling. You can just put it on any way you like and it will fit. So if I put them all together, there's 3 finished socks. But I'm working on all the second ones. Yeah, that's that about socks. And then I have one of my new cast-ons is another sock yarn thing. It's not a sock, but it's something out of sock yarn. And I'm knitting another pattern out of Knit Happy with self-striping yarn by Stephanie Lotven, who's Tellybean Knits. And I chose one of her loop scarves or cowls. And it's the Wave at the Rainbow cowl. And this is what it looks like in the book. So it has a bit of ribbing at the top and bottom in a contrasting color. And then she used a sort of rainbow color yarn with a subtle pattern in it. And I decided to do this pattern with this ball of yarn. It's opal yarn, but it says KFS, which stands for Kasenuma Friedenssocke. And the K, that's the place where the company is situated in Japan. And Friedenssocke means peace socks. And it's the company that was founded by Martina Umemura to sell German opal yarn in Japan. And the last time I visited Japan 2 years ago, I bought this skein of yarn because it's a color that's not available in Germany, and I think it's so beautiful, and it's a bit rainbowy, but it's inspired by these sweets and I just love it, and I wanted to make something really special with it, something visible, so no socks. And then I thought this cowl is the perfect pattern, and I decided to use the blue colorway from the Beauty yarn. That's the yarn that has this vitamin E in it, so it's even softer than the normal Opal yarn. So I'm using that for the ribbing, and I'm using the Japanese yarn to knit the rest of the cowl. And I'm really happy with the pattern, with the way the stripes move because of the pattern. And it's also fascinating how some bits are darker and some bits are lighter. So this has several white stripes in it, and it has yellow, and it looks really light. And then on this side there's no white, and there's more of the blue and the red and the purple, and it looks darker, and I really enjoy knitting it. It's a fun knit, and I am planning to knit most or all of the skein into this cowl. I may keep 5 grams for my memories blanket that I haven't shown in ages, have knit on in ages, but yeah, so maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll knit the whole thing. I don't know, but it's something that I've been planning for a long time, and I'm really happy I finally got it going. So that's the first new cast on for today, and now I'm getting my yarns tangled. Okay, then on to other things out of sock yarn. I did not knit on my Gletscher tunic or dress, didn't get round to doing that, and I only put in a tiny little bit of work into the Town Square shawl by Romy, but I've managed to attach the second ball of yarn. It's this Abo yarn, subscription yarn by Opal, and I'm knitting this as part of the pattern battle over in the Ravelry group, and everybody has to knit with this color yarn, but everybody has to knit a different pattern. So I picked this shawl pattern, and I'm already on the edge on this edge pattern. Yeah, and all I've done is I've added in the second ball of yarn. I finished the row I was on, and this pattern is a lace pattern that has patterning on both the right side and the wrong side row, and it has these nubs that are knit into it, so it's a busy pattern. I need concentration. I just didn't have that last week, and all I managed to do was attach the ball of yarn, so that whenever I do find the time, I can actually continue knitting on it. I did put in a little more work into the square shrug that I'm knitting, also Opal yarn. It's one of the 100 Wasser colorways inspired by these paintings by 100 Wasser. It doesn't really show because it's all bunched up on the needle. I did not put in a long cable this week, so you can't really tell that I did work on it, but I did. It just grew a few rounds. I don't even know how many rounds. The ball of yarn is getting smaller. I can tell what I've done more by looking at the yarn than looking at my project, because it sort of looks the same. A few more rounds, they just don't change anything in the way this looks. But I can feel it's growing, and I'm looking forward to finishing this ball of yarn, and then I can start planning how many pattern repeats I want to do, and then the interesting stuff happens. So that was that. Then I have one more project out of sock yarn that you already know, and that's my crochet jumper that I'm making out of granny squares, and I put in some work into the front. This is the front of the pullover, and last week I'd done 16 rounds. No idea how many I've added. Let's check. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So I've added in 5 rounds. Doesn't sound like a lot, but as the rounds are getting longer, it takes time to do that. The yarns, the ball of yarn is getting smaller also, so most of the work that I still have to do is finishing the front. The sleeve's almost done, and then I need to crochet things together, and then I will have a crochet jumper, which is really exciting. Another project that I put in quite a lot of work into, I'm really rushing today, but that's okay. I can show you some new yarn at the end if it doesn't take too long to show all the other things. I worked on the Carnaby Crochet Along. That was a pullover that was published last year in the Simply Crochet magazine, and we got a bit of the pattern for 10 months. So 10, you needed 10 issues of the Simply Crochet magazine to finish that jumper or the blanket. And I crocheted 2 at the same time. So the first was made out of sock yarn, DK weight sock yarn. I finished that in the winter, during last winter, but I also crocheted a cotton version and then didn't do anything about that for quite some time. But now I finally sat down and I sewed together the pieces, and I decided to make it into a cardigan. So it won't be a pullover, but a cardigan. And this is one of the fronts. And I also added the border. So once you sew together the fronts and the backs, you're supposed to put a border around them. So I did that with a dark blue, and you can see there's a little bit of neck shaping happening up here. So this is the neck, so this is the left front. This is the right front. I'm still working on the border. Yeah, so this is the second neckline. It's not quite finished yet. That's why it's not as visible as with the other front. And this is where I'm at. So I've almost finished it. All I need to do is go up here and go to this bit, and then that'll be finished. That's the 2 fronts. And I've also sewn together all the pieces for the back, but I haven't crocheted the border yet. So that's the back. That's how I put the pieces together. And this will get another border also with a bit of a neckline. And then I can sew the shoulder seams. Then I will sew in the sleeves. And then I'm going to wash and block it. I decided it'll be easier to block and quicker to dry if I don't sew the side seams yet. I'll take pictures and put them on Ravelry. If I remember, I'll post them on Instagram as well. And once it's washed and blocked, then I can just sew the sleeve seams and the side seams. Maybe attach some buttons. I don't know. I didn't put any button holes because I thought I'm using double crochet, US term, or trebles. I think it's trebles in British terms. For the edge. So I think I'll just look for small buttons that I can push through in between those stitches, and then I can have small buttons that are not very obvious, and I can either button it or I can just wear it open. So that's a Carnaby Crochet Along, my summer version. I'm really happy to finally getting this almost done so far, but I hope I'll be able to do the finishing touches really quickly. My plan is to wear it during the holiday, so I hope to finish it this week so I can take it on holiday and wear it there. Yeah, that takes me to the second cast on, and that's basically not really a cast on. It's really still in the gauge phase of things, and that's another test crochet. It's not a test knit, it's a test crochet, and again it's for Heather from HGDC, HG Designs Crochet. She put out a call for testers for a crochet cardigan in chunky weight yarn, and I just love her designs. I've already crocheted 3 of her patterns, and so I said I would love to test, and she accepted me again as a tester, and now I'm testing this cardigan, and she used she says it's DK weight yarn held double, so we had the choice to use DK weight yarn held double or use a chunky yarn. And I wanted to use what I think of as DK weight sock yarn, which in German is 6-ply, but it didn't come out big enough and I didn't want it too loose, so I decided to go for the 8-ply sock yarn, which I thought was bigger than DK weight, but then some people say if you hold sock yarn double, that's DK weight, and the 8-ply basically is twice the 4-ply sock yarn. So I'm not quite sure with all the names and descriptions and stuff, but after a lot of deliberation and 3 different swatches, I decided to use this as my contrast color yarn. This is what in German is called 8-ply sock yarn. It's 150 grams to I think 320 meters. So maybe that gives you an idea. And so this is my contrast color and this is my main color. It's the same yarn, it's just a different series. So Heather is using yellow, pink and white as the contrast colors and then black as the main color. And at first I wanted to do the same, but then I found a dark grey blue 6-ply yarn that I liked. And then when I decided to use the 8-ply yarn, because I don't have black, I do have some at home, but I don't sell it in my shop. I decided to use this as the main color, especially as I already have a black, I have a grey cardigan, a grey blue, and I thought it'd be nice to have something with blue as the main color. So I decided to use this as the main color. So the first 3 rounds of the granny square that have the contrast color, I will be holding these 2 yarns together. And then for the other rounds and for connecting the squares and also for doing the sleeves, I'll be holding this color yarn double. So this is the swatch that I made with these 2 colors. So basically that's the first 3 rounds of the square, and then I'll add 1 round with this color held double, and then for the joining rounds I will also using the blue held double, and then the sleeves are just in the blue. And I really like the way the colors come together. The pattern calls for an 8mm needle, but I always have to go up with my needle sizes with Heather's pattern, so I'm using a 10mm needle, and I'm still not completely getting gauge. I'm still a little too small, but then I haven't blocked it. I guess I can block it to the size it's supposed to have, but this cardigan is really oversized, so if it's a tiny bit smaller than the pattern calls for, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so my idea was that I was thinking about if I can finish it on time, and the deadline is beginning of October, and I'm going on holiday for 2 weeks, as I said. But then I thought crocheting squares is perfect for holidays because it's a small project. I don't have a lot of yarn on my lap while I'm working on it. I can bring the yarn and then I can just do all the squares that I need. I think I need 18 of these squares, and I can definitely finish them during the holidays. And then when I come back and I have the space to lay them out, I can do the joining. And I think I still have like 2 weeks after my holidays to finish the cardigan. And because it's such a big needle and these are such big stitches, I'm pretty sure I can finish it. And yeah, really looking forward to having this fantastic, beautiful cardigan soon. Yeah, so that's the next new cast on. And then we're at my knit-alongs. And then the old knit-along that's still running, that's going to run to the end of the year, is my Optic blanket. And I didn't finish my square of last week. So I did start it. That's the square I showed you last week. And again, I did start the square. This is the yarn I'm using, another Opal sock yarn, but I did not finish it. I was just too busy during the weekend with other things. But I cast on the new knit-along that we're going to do, and that's the Geckolino. It's a little shawlette. It's a free pattern that's available in German and English on Ravelry. And I showed you last week that I was planning to use this beautiful rainbow color with blue by Wolldackel. And this is what my cast on looks like. So this is the basic shape of the shawl. You have three places where there are increases. There's also increases at the ends, the beginning and the ends of the rows. It's a mix of garter stitch and this eyelet pattern. That's going to repeat now. And then at some point there'll be short rows at both the ends of the shawlette, so that the ends get longer, so you have something to wrap around your neck. You'll see it as it grows. But that's the Geckolino, and I think I haven't started the discussion thread in the Ravelry group yet, but I hope to get to that as quickly as possible. Yeah, so that was all my projects. I was really racing through them today, but that means I can now show you the new colors of Opal yarn that have arrived last week. And that's the new series of Schafpate yarn that Opal come out with every year. And Schafpate is, I think Pate is godfather. So you can actually become a godfather or godmother to one of the sheep that run around here in Germany, and that their fleece is used to make this yarn. So all the yarn in the Schafpate series is always German yarn that's been processed in Germany and dyed in Germany and sold in Germany. And so if you care for really German yarn, this is it. But I know you can get it outside of Germany, so I think it's worth showing you the colors just in case you are interested in getting some of it. So that's a really bright, nice color that goes with what I'm wearing today. Then we have a beautiful red color. That was one of the colors that was in the Opal Abo, so in the subscription yarn. That's the subscription sometimes has the same colors that come out later, but the yarn itself is different. So in the subscription, it's like their normal yarn, which comes from South America. So it's definitely mulesing free. But this is German yarn, and it's I think it's a bit softer than their normal ordinary yarn, and I really like it. Yeah, then there's this beautiful green that I might use to knit green socks to donate. This is a very interesting color that's a bit different than most of the Opal colors, and it's very popular with one of my friends, so she wants to make a cardigan. So I've already sold most of that. This is a very interesting color as well, which is a bit different from like the normal Opal colors. Then there's a very nice blue with a bit of green, and it has a bit of a purple touch to it. And the last color is the dark gray, but with a bit of blue and purple in it as well. So this is my sister's favorite color in this series. And I'm really excited to see what she's going to make out of this. Yeah, so these are the new Schafpate colors that came out this year. If you're interested, I'm sure you can find a shop that carries Opal yarn near you somewhere. Yeah, and that was also everything I knit and crocheted last week. As I said, next Monday, hopefully there'll be a little special video, and then the week after there will be no video. And then in 3 weeks' time, there'll be the next proper episode, and that'll be episode 111, which is quite a funny number. And as I will be showing everything I did during my vacation, I hope it's going to be an interesting video as well. But so far, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!